Welcome back to the F124 driver career. We have ourselves another patch for the game where supposedly the AI have been improved. We will hopefully see less of those DRS trains today. How competitive we might be on 105 difficulty with the altered AI, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm going to go balls deep and we're going to dive in and not make it any easier. We're going to see what it's like at 105 and see if we can compete at 105 and then address it from there. To refresh your memory from the last episode as to what the weather looks like for this upcoming race weekend, dry everywhere other than probably the last 20 to 25 minutes of the Grand Prix itself, where it's going to smash it down with rain. So that'll be fun. We're in a run of okay form. 12th, 15th, 14th, 16th. Managed a 4th in Austria, but that was very fortuitous. Next, here at Silverstone, is not going to be as straightforward, one imagines. So, join me in practice, or more accurately, join me after practice. We'll whack on our resource points and maybe look to upgrade the car, and then we can head straight into, thankfully, fully dry qualifying from there. As ever, please do drop the video a like if you're enjoying the content. I'd very much appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to this ChesnoidPlays channel so you don't miss out on any more of the F124 content that's coming to you as regularly as we can get it to you. There was a Creator Series video went live a couple of days ago as well, so do check that out too from our time in Spain. Went quite well as well, so well worth the watch if you don't mind. And, well, I'm just going to head to Silverstone. Okay, bye. Resource points have been acquired, 300 of them, but unfortunately not enough to see us get any improvements to the car further from what we've got at the moment because, well, quite frankly, everything's too expensive. But the car is being upgraded at quite the pace at the moment, and hopefully everything will pass when it does. You'll notice on the performance index, Haas are now in white. Good. You'll also notice that VCarb now have the blue that Red Bull have had for years, and now Red Bull are a slightly duller, darker, bluish purpley colour. So keep your eyes out for that on the minimap. I'm sure you will have seen it yourselves with your own game. The patch has come in and the AI are updated. We'll of course, wait and see how qualifying goes in that regard, but we are supposedly the 6th fastest car, so we should be, in theory, challenging for 11th and 12th place on the grid. We hope. Anyway, so points potentially. I'm going to put some new parts in the car, which is a bit of a risk, certainly, but also a bit unavoidable in most areas. New turbo. And we are going to, I think we have a slightly used already gearbox, which is good. So, some new bits. Pray that they don't go pop throughout the course of the weekend. Pray that qualifying goes well for us, and that then we can have a solid race. Points in my, as a home driver, home Grand Prix would be lovely. Try and entertain you nonetheless, if we can, he says, as he goes wide at the first bloody...
We've dropped to P20.
I've dropped to P20 because I haven't done out yet. We're on 105 difficulty-wise, 105. So not terrible, but not the 110 of the big boys. How are we compared to the VCarb Yuki Tsunoda through the first sector? Actually down by 1.5 tenths, which is not ideal. Not sure whether we'll have to tweak the difficulty based on the adjustments to the AI with the most recent patch. It's the first race we've done since that patch earlier today, so I don't know. We're now a 10th up on Yuki, that's good. Okay, so we might have something to fight for yet still. Right, don't balls this up like you did on the way into your flyer chest. Oh, I've done exactly the same thing. Good lad. Well done, mate. Can we get to the line? P14 after one run. Okay. Not as fast as we might like to be. Certainly some time in the lap from a couple of mistakes. Question is, do we run a fresh set, or do we... Quite frankly, I think I'm just going to have to run a fresh set, aren't I? Based on the pace that we're putting in the minute. Q3 is probably a little bit too far away. Oh, there's not much in it. There's really not much in it. I'll go out on the same set at the end of the session. Oh, it is the end of the session. Yikes. And hopefully... Track acclimatization. Track evolution will be in our favour and we can get ourselves an improved lap time. Yeah, it's weird that those bumps are there like that. Bear that in mind during the race. Oof, back end stepped on me horribly there. Cost me all my momentum. Lovely, good. Down to P17 in a minute.
We've been pushed down to P17.
Well, it's not a personal best middle sector. We're a 10th and a bit down. And we're over a 10th down on the time that we need to beat Logan Sargent, of all people. So it appears that well, it's not even that it appears that it's the wrong decision. I think, quite frankly, we can say safely it was the wrong decision to use a scrubbed set to try and force our way into Q2 using just one set of soft tyres. We will start this British Grand Prix from P17, but feel like we're going to have enough pace to make some positions. Pierre Gasly, there's a 5-place grid penalty? What's that for? Illegal blocking, Pierre Gasly. Okay, look out. So Gasly's out. Or not Gasly's out. Gasly will lose positions. And am I the only one that used one set? Well, it's reading as me having used 2 sets. But I didn't. I used the same set. So not sure then who ran a new set and who didn't. And we missed out, you can't quite see this because of my camera, by 3 milliseconds. Logan Sargent did a 1:28.219. Lance Stroll a 1:28.221. And myself a 1:28.222. Good. So we nearly made it through by less than a blink of an eye. So did Lance Stroll, but Logan Sargent pips us both. My teammate Kevin Magnussen, back of the bloody grid, so at least we weren't that bad. All right, well, join me in the Grand Prix then.
Off the back
so after our
it's time to see how
less than optimal qualifying session, Max Verstappen is on pole with a lap that was actually slower than Lando's Q1 time, which was a 27 flat to the millisecond. And it's the 2 Ferrari, intriguingly, then Piastri and Sergio Perez. And the 2 Mercedes is a little bit further back. Alonso and Albon made it into Q3. Or did he, because Gasly might have gotten through and then got a penalty? I'm not sure. Sargent P14. We'll start P16 then, because we'll gain a position on Pierre Gasly, who qualified P13. So yes, Albon made it into Q3 of his own accord. So GG's for that, mate. Great performance in that Williams.
Okay, this is Mark.
It reckons a 1-stop.
Listen, a points finish.
Really? Everyone's starting on softs. I would have liked to have gone alternate and gone medium soft and done it the other way around, but I cannot take that risk here.
But just give it your best shot.
That's not what I thought would happen at Silverstone in terms of strategy at all. Well, because it's going to rain, do we go soft and take a risk? Because we've got the tyres. We know it's going to rain at the end of the race. So I could go soft, be as quick as humanly possible, anticipating that we're going to go to inters at the end of the race and not need to run 2 dry tyre compounds. It would be a giant risk, but it might be a risk worth taking. He says after taking a risk in qualifying that didn't pay off. But if the rain comes, as Ad says in chat correctly, hard enough and quick enough, then we could run 2 sets of soft tyres, do maybe 20 laps on each, and then go to the inters. Oh! All right. That's certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak, lining up behind Logan Sargent, which is not necessarily something you always like to say. 4.4 metres will do. We should be on the inside for turn 1. Praying for a good launch, as Mark was about to say there. Which we have seemingly gotten. Stroll has got the better of the second phase. They were going to be on his inside here for turn 1. They're going very slowly in front. Had to get out the throttle there. Nobody wanted to commit to moving across. I'm going to try and get up the inside here whilst keep my front wing intact. Stroll is there on the outside. Oof. And comes quite sharply across to the right there. He and Sargent, to be fair, having a good old ding-dong there. And by putting me offline, I've actually lost the position to Gasly as well. So we're 17th then, which is actually where we qualified, rather than the inflated 16th from Gasly's penalty. Gasly has now taken that position from me. We're going to have to utilise battery as best we can here. I've got someone on my outside, so I'll give them racing room. It's my teammate Kevin, who's made a good start to the race. I will just ease out the throttle and settle in behind him here. Though he was a bit slower around Cops than I thought it was going to be. It's fine. Like we say, this is our first race on the new difficulty. Not the new difficulty, on the new patch, with the AI adjusted with regards to how they race with their battery. So we don't know yet if we're on the right difficulty or not, considering we're on the same one that we were on previously. I'm hoping so. 105 should still be perfectly doable for us. We've got the inside of my teammate here. Say hello, thank you very much. No, K-Mag fights back. All right, fair enough, Kevin. To be fair, of all people on the grid that will fight back, Kevin would be that guy, wouldn't he?
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
That was a slow turn. Front really didn't bite there. We have DRS now. I do like the change to the rules to bring DRS in after 1 lap. I really think that's a positive move. Having to use a lot of battery here to keep up. Hopefully we can recover enough of it to keep ourselves competitive. Otherwise I will start to think that maybe I should have lowered the difficulty to 103 or 4. We know that they're perhaps a little bit slower through Cops, so we should hopefully be able to gain some time here. I know we've got a heavy car, but it still should turn better than that. Right, P18 for the time being, but happy enough to sit for now. Mistake from Pierre Gasly. He's locked up and gone straight on. Let's let Kevin through. One Haas at least making positions right now. Gasly's struggling there over those little bumps down the Hamilton straight. I wonder whether the Alpine will be catchable and passable. Don't yet know how much of an impact DRS is having in this train. Who's actually got genuine pace and who doesn't. We obviously didn't qualify that well, so we don't think we've got that much genuine pace of our own. But trying our best to keep up here. Gap in front of Magnussen does look like it's grown quite considerably, but that is probably because he had to get hard on the brakes to avoid the back of Pierre Gasly. Obviously staying within 1 second of the two in front is going to be pretty vital for our overall race. It's so fast in a straight line. Oh, that's Lando in P2 going slowly and retiring. Lando Norris out of the race. That's a real shock. From challenging for the win to now not even going to make it to the end of lap 7. Lando Norris in the McLaren out of the Grand Prix. That's a huge shock for the home fans as well here at Silverstone. I'm not necessarily doing my bit for the home fans here at the minute. Kevin is looking for a move on Logan Sargent though, which would be nice to see him make. And he has made. K-Mag up to P14. Kevin racing better than he qualifies this season for sure. Seen quite a few lockups into this final little left-right, which we haven't yet been able to capitalise on. Gasly's done it once, Logan Sargent's done it once. I think someone else in front just made a similar error. But at the minute, I'm not really able to make that much of an impression on those in front of me, but equally, the Saubers behind aren't making any sort of impression on me either. So it's a bit status quo right now after 7 and a bit laps. Not entirely too sure how the rest of this race is going to pan out from here. The rain could absolutely throw a massive curveball. You can see what the tyre wear's like. So the fact they want me to go to lap 24 on this one set of softs looks highly unlikely at the minute. We're more than likely to end up with a puncture before we get to lap 24. They're the temps for you, lads. Or lock up from Sargent. Gasly's through. We couldn't quite make it.
Great work. You're catching the car ahead.
I think we managed to avoid any damage on Logan there. But that's let Kevin Magnussen get right down the road. We need to see off Logan Sargent as soon as possible, really, and try and follow Gasly up to the next gaggle. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. Long term, or longer term in this race. They're just faster me in a straight line, though, which is really frustrating at the minute. We might be running slightly too much rear downforce.
Okay, mate. Engine's running too hot. Engine is running too hot. Let's keep it a bit cooler for now, please.
Yeah, hang on. Concentrating on trying to overtake Logan Sargent, if you don't mind. Don't care about the engine temperature right now. Care about getting past the Williams and clinging onto the back of the Alpine. Right, I'm going to use a bit of my battery here and try and take Logan Sargent. Going to go up the inside at Stowe. He's using battery to defend. Going to have to try and force the move, get aggressive, and we have gotten it done.
Keep going.
Try and stick with Pierre Gasly now as well if we can. Stay within DRS range of the Alpine. Keep us competitive. Pierre's opening the gap a little bit. We'll use a bit of, again, ERS to maintain the gap. Using so much of my battery might come back to haunt me, but as long as we're in DRS range of Pierre, we're all right for the time being. And Pierre is not quite in DRS range of Kevin yet. So there is going to be a bit of an advantage down this straight. I hope, I think, I pray. No, he's pulling away. No, we're reeling him in. We're reeling him in. So as long as we can stay within DRS range of Pierre here, there is still a strong chance of us making some more positions in the next few laps. And then concertina up through corners like that. Keep going wide there. It's not a strong track for me, Silverstone, is it, historically? It's a track I love to drive, but it's not a track I'm quick at. We are, however, back within DRS range of those in front now, I believe. Indeed we are. And crucially, we are out of DRS range of those behind. Zhou has taken Logan Sargent, though, and that's why they've dropped back a bit. Because Zhou Guan Yu has made the move on the Williams driver. And they've obviously battled a little bit and cost themselves some time. I'd imagine Zhou would probably start to close on us, though. The Sauber's not a great car this year, but equally it's not terrible. Now fighting into Maggots and Beckett's in front. This is going to get us right up with them now. Kevin heavily involved.
Caution,
We're still with the pack. Yellow flag in front. It's George Russell going slowly. Has he got a puncture or is he retiring? Where is he? That's Lewis. Where even is George? There. Let's have a look off board. Does the engine go or does he get a puncture? He's got a rear right puncture, George Russell. He's not out of the race, but his rear right tyre is punctured and hanging off the rim there, as you can quite clearly see. At least it's happened at this part of the track, so it's close enough to the pits to be able to get it back and not lose as much time as he potentially could have if it was significantly earlier in the lap. He will have, obviously, one of the faster cars as well to try and close the gaps. Might even go to a hard tyre now, George, just to try and elongate this stint. The hards might make it to the end from here. If they do, it's going to be with barely any pace. Show Guan Yu has just closed up the gap behind as well, so he's going to be back within DRS range of us. We are maintaining position at the minute, but also matching pace of those around us. Having to utilise my battery as best as I can. Front left is dying, but we're not as uncompetitive pace-wise as I feared we might be when we were just a couple of laps in and we started losing positions. Gasly making a move on Alex Albon. It's going to get potentially even worse yet still for a British driver. Thai British, obviously, in Alex's case, but British to some extent. Lance Stroll locked up there, and K-Mag is now up to 11th. Kevin might not have qualified where the pace of this car would say that we should be qualifying, but he's certainly racing very well. Annoyingly, there is a giant gap from Kevin to the points, but now running, having started 16th and 20th, or 16th and 19th, 16th and 20th, I think. We're now running 11th and 15th. So, Haas making forward moves, albeit not yet, forward enough to get ourselves into the points. Contemplating boxing on about lap 20 or 21 to go to a medium tyre and try and undercut those in front, whilst at the same time hoping that the rain comes slightly earlier. George, after his puncture, has gone to mediums, and he is a long way back. But if I pit, I'll come out 18th, which is in front of George Russell right now. So being in this DRS train is extending the gap, even though George is in a Mercedes and on fresh rubber. That shows you just why we perhaps need to go even longer then, thinking about it. Although in another 4 or 5 laps time, the mediums should really start to come into their own. Nearly at 50% now on the front left. It's really having a hard time with things. Might try and also put a move on Alex Albon if we can in the not too distant future. But there's a big gaggle from 2nd to 10th, and now there's a big gaggle from 11th to 18th, of which we are part. We will now come out behind George Russell if we box. How far behind George Russell, I don't know. I'd be tempted to box this lap
If you think you can get past,
to try and be in George's DRS. That's a risk I might take. The team would know exactly where I'd come out on track. Oh, I'm wide there.
We expect you'll be noticing a bit of grip loss in the tyres around now, so just be careful.
No, we'll still go 21. We'll still go 21. Oh, lock up from K-Mag. Everyone slammed their anchors on, and now we've got front wing damage. Yeah, look, car just doesn't want to turn right. Into the box we come. We will change that front wing and put on medium tyres with a view to going to the rain, not to the end. Salima, thank you for the follow, mate. And GDPB Battle. GDPB? GD... GDPL, sorry. GDPL battle. Thank you for the follow, mate. Quick, lads. Quickly!
Right, let's go.
Thank you.
Perfect job.
Super slow pit lane, though.
Like nice
George is going to go...
We're
and we're not going to be anywhere near George Russell. We might have been near George Russell if I didn't have the bloody wing change. We think rain is going to come about lap 45-ish. We actually pray it comes a little earlier than that. Loads of drivers in on lap 23. A big old clump of drivers in on lap 23. We didn't expect them to pit until lap 24. So that's one less lap's worth of undercut that we've got there. Although it is seemingly the majority of the front runners and Alex Albon, not those that were in our group. So we should still have the opportunity to undercut on those guys, I hope. Gap to George is growing though. That front wing change might have just cost us everything, really. Lots of others, but not every other driver in the pits here. Kevin's still yet to box. So we might not necessarily overtake. Actually, we might get a couple of overtakes here. We will. Sargent and Bottas, but they were behind us anyway, weren't they? Sargent and Bottas. If it weren't for that wing change, we could have made some considerable time. So frustrating. It is what it is, though. We just have to hope that we now have the pace to maintain position and try and close those down.
Okay, some information on Gasly. They seem to have an issue.
Gasly does have an issue. Magnussen's just taken him. Gaps in front are growing, gaps behind are growing. It's been a very lonely middle part of this race. All from that really unfortunate front wing damage. But I just couldn't plough on with it as it was. It was just going to destroy our race even more so than it had in just the 1.5 laps that we did with the broken wing. Just putting my personal best lap of the race. Stroll stuck behind Gasly at the minute. Magnussen probably going to try and pull away from them. Once he has the opportunity to. There's a bit of a gap in front of K-Mag to the next group of cars as well, where the points are. Stroll still not past Gasly, although they're side by side right now. Stroll past Gasly, as you can tell, top left, although they are fighting hard, Gasly and Stroll. Still side by side, I think, going round Luffield and then Woodcote. But Stroll now is through. Gasly, hopefully, even with DRS briefly on Stroll, etc., might fall back towards us.
We think we might see some rain. ETA about 15 minutes.
15 minutes on rain. That would be before lap 40. 15 minutes is 7.5 laps. Rain by lap 40. Probably. Potentially. Maybe not probably. Rain by lap 40. Potentially. DRS range of Gasly. 5.7 seconds to Kevin, who is fighting with Stroll still. And then there's the group of 3 in front of them, which is going to be points. K-Mag 14, Stroll 13, 12, 11, 10. Yes. There's a V-carb at the front of that little trio. Well, I think George Russell is right now. Concentrate. That is where the points are. It's just coming onto the hanger straight now. But we will rather comfortably take Pierre Gasly here. This is going to be the easiest overtake of the whole weekend. I tried to save battery to do it. I rather evidently shouldn't have done. Still the easiest overtake of the whole weekend, and the easiest pull away from the car that you've just overtaken of the weekend as well, unless they somehow remotely fix Gasly's issue with a control or delete of some software settings perhaps. 6 seconds to the group in front now. P15 in the minute, hoping that pit confusion when it rains, i.e. double stacks or someone not quite pitting early enough and doing an extra lap on their soft or dry tyres, hoping that can earn us a position or two when the time comes. Okay, so it's been about 7 or 8 minutes since we last had that radio call to say 15 minutes, and they're still saying 10 to 15. And I haven't been able to pull away from Pierre Gasly as we hoped that we would be able to, so I wonder whether they've fixed his issue. I don't really want to fight with Pierre, because together we could perhaps try and work together to close down those in front, but I don't know if it's going to be a possibility at the minute. These tyres are getting on a bit now. You can see the lack of turning I had there with the front left. This is now 23%. The rain is still about 10 minutes away, supposedly. So we're not even close to that changeover yet. It could have been a fantastic home Grand Prix for some of the British drivers. It has not been for anyone yet. Lewis is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lewis is 6th, and that's the highest running British driver here at the British Grand Prix, which is not ideal. I might go for Pierre here. Try and get it stopped in time. Keep the position. Thank you. Bye, mate.
Okay, good work.
Thanks. Yeah.
Teammate ahead, 8.7 seconds.
It's just too far. I need chaos in the rain, or for me to get the changeover bang on and everyone else to mess it up. Pierre's going for it again around the outside. Battling with Pierre so hard has allowed the 3 behind to catch up. So now we've got Sargent in the Williams and both the Saubers to contend with too now. What was a simple 2-way battle has now turned into a 5-way fight. Unfortunately, a 5-way fight that could see us fall further back, not jump further forward. I think it's track specific as well. Traditionally, Silverstone has not been a great circuit for me in terms of my competitiveness here. So I've a strong feeling that in the next race we will... Oh, rain starts to fall. In the next race we'll be more competitive in terms of finishing higher, etc. But rain is falling now, and it is increasing in its intensity quite significantly in just the half a lap that we've been talking, so perhaps it might not be long before DRS gets disabled and or we end up having to switch to intermediate tyres. Pierre didn't really fight that at all, just took the racing line and was happy to continue. The rain, it's falling at the minute, and the fact that I just got some spray on my, or a raindrop on my visor on the camera says maybe it'll be intermediate tyres within the next couple of laps. Pierre and Zhou Guanyu looking to make it a double overtake on me here. And they will do exactly that. I might box for Inters now, you know. Why not?
Let's have you in at the end of this lap, please.
Let's take a risk. The rain is starting to splash on the ground. It might be too late for everyone else to want to pit. I did indeed select Inters already. It might be too late for everyone else to want to pit. And the AI might just continue on dry tyres in wet weather. That does happen sometimes with the game. But I'm going to take a risk.
Okay, let's go now. Come on. That was a fantastic
Keep an eye on the temps, which are probably going to skyrocket initially, but then hopefully come back down. You can see that the rain is landing on the circuit and bouncing back up again.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
We might have made the right decision, we might have made the wrong decision. Probably the wrong one, but there's no harm in throwing one final curveball at it, is there, considering we had literally nothing to lose? Still Max Verstappen isn't in. No, Max Verstappen is in. They are boxing. They are boxing now. We won't gain the 12 seconds we had to Kevin and Lance, but we might earn a bit of time here. Some might actually elect to, as they have done at Ferrari, to not double stack and do another lap. So we called it perhaps just at the right time, because our tyre temps have been fine, our wear is fine. We did call it actually remarkably well, it seems. Although I don't know as it's actually going to earn us any positions in the Grand Prix, sadly. Or anything more than where we were. Yeah, so the V-carb's double stacked. One of them has dropped a long way back. We have overtaken Gasly, Zhou and Sargent and gained a decent amount of time on them, whereas we were battling with them. So that's how much the change to intermediate tyres a couple of laps early earned us, about 4.5 to 5 seconds. Ricardo 10 seconds down the road, didn't earn us anything really on K-Mag. That was about 12 to 13 when we hit anyway. We might gain another position. We should gain another position on Valtteri Bottas. We will gain another position on Valtteri Bottas. He's tumbling now. He's really struggling. We will be up to P15. Although you'll notice how Gasly is churning that time away, trying to close me down, but I haven't been utilising my battery, to be honest. I've been too busy waffling to you guys. So maybe I'll start to utilise my battery a bit more. Or just at all. And we'll maintain that gap. Valtteri's going to be driving on ice right now. The Ferrari's just boxed as well. So as we come around to start our final lap.
Final lap, let's go. Final lap.
Currently looking like a P14 and 15 for the team. It is a case of potentially what could have been if we hadn't got that late front wing damage in the first stint. Could we have clung on to Magnussen, Stroll, Ricardo, etc. and been part of that group and challenged for points?
At least another 10 minutes until
Maybe,
the lead evens out.
probably,
Stay alert out there.
you'd like to think. Ultimately though, it's going to be a P14 and 15. Like I've said previously, I think it's track specific. Our personal lack of performance here. I have never really performed at Silverstone comparatively to everywhere else over the years in the F1 games. So I'm not overly concerned by this being the first race with the new patch. There are still a lot of DRS trains, so that's something that needs to be still looked into, I think. But there is more spread than previous, but still, it's still a bit trainy. So we'll wait and see what happens with future patches, with future races, because Silverstone can be a bit DRS trainy in real life anyway. So again, that might be track specific too. We'll see what it's like after this British Grand Prix in the next round of the championship, which my brain is telling me is Hungary? Hungary or Belgium? Hungary, I think. Should be off to the Hungaroring next, which is traditionally baking hot in Formula One at that time of year. Right, that's a P15 for the team. It's not superb. It's also not the worst finish we've had this season. So we won't be too disheartened. K-Mag actually gets driver of the day, which I think is a bit overboard for P20 to P14. Is that really driver of the day? Not really. Max Verstappen dominated the whole race. Lando was pushing him, but then obviously his car went no comprende, and he just died. But you can see the gaps. That's a bit trainy. That's a bit trainy. That's a bit trainy. That's a bit trainy. So there's still clearly work to be done. George Russell, after having his Minecraft tyre, actually was able to recover to get himself a single World Championship point. So congratulations for that, George. You've actually pulled something quite significantly out of the bag there. Obviously, Piastri beat me. He's going to beat me every round of the championship. Let's not fool ourselves. My experience rifled up there. Not entirely too sure. Why is everything shooting up that much? Is it the changeable conditions, perhaps? My focus went down, lol. Very nearly 74 rated. I'm surprised. Leading the teammate rivalry, no DNF. We got an objective. Objectives played a big part in that. Finishing ahead of our starting position, 25 overtakes completed. Got me a little bit more there as well. And we've got another objective. Awareness. Again, another objective. No DNF. Okay. Margin to fastest lap plus 1 seconds. Was it? Was it actually? If you say so, I'll take it. We are edging the recognition standings slightly continually. So Kevin Magnussen is just going to have to deal with that. Unfortunately, no upgrades in terms of specialists at this moment in time. Hungary should be dry. I'm praying Hungary's dry. It really genuinely should be dry. It's dry most of the time in real life. The occasional time that it does rain, it also is sunny at significant moments as well. Fernando went from P9 to P2 but didn't get driver of the day. Kevin Magnus went from P20 to P14 and did get driver of the day. Okay. So we've got 528 resource points, hoping that lots of things will pass between now and the Hungarian Grand Prix. There is a lot on the way there, as you may well have seen from the calendar tick down a moment ago. There's really not much going on with these worn parts, is there? But there's a lot that could pass, there's a lot that should pass, there's obviously going to be a lot that doesn't pass as well.
I know we were expecting some new developments.
There's been a lot that has.
I'm afraid to say that
Sure which one it was that failed. It was the weight reduction. We'll redo that. That'll be ready for Zandvoort. You may have just seen that we have shot up to now being the 4th supposedly fastest car. We've eclipsed Mercedes and Aston Martin. So if ever there was to be a test of how good the car is now, this next race might well be it. Annoyingly, Hungary also not a strong track for me. So I would anticipate not scoring points there either. But we'll wait and see how things go. We're basically level with Mercedes and level with Aston Martin as well. So we still might well consider ourselves the 6th fastest car. But at the same time, we're only slightly behind Ferrari and McLaren now. So have these upgrades just transformed the car? Hello? What's this all about?
Hello and welcome back. And as you can see,
hi, Natalie.
Is a hive of activity behind us. More action, though, going on behind closed doors because, Anthony Davidson, we are in the middle of silly season. There is speculation everywhere as to where the drivers will move around the grid. Tell me from a driver's perspective, just how distracting is this?
It is a distraction, and it has been up until this point in the season, especially when you're outside of the car. But once that helmet goes on and the visor's down, it's back to business as usual, and that's when you see it all melt away. You're in the car doing what you do best. But yeah, certainly out of it, you sometimes see it boil over. Drivers have a few strong words to say to each other after some moments on track because it is such a stressful environment.
A huge mind game for all of the drivers. We're having secretive meetings, clandestine chats. What is exactly being said, though? Give us a level of insight.
So if you're not performing, obviously, you know, we're in a very brutal world in Formula One where the driver's data is there on show for inside your team for all to see, and you're constantly being compared against your teammate. There's nowhere to hide. And if you're not performing, then your team boss might be looking elsewhere and might not be telling you the full story. So sometimes you seek news from elsewhere in the paddock, even from the media. They might be telling you what's really going on with inside your team, and that's very uncomfortable. And then on the flip side, if you're having a great season, you might be the one having secretive talks with other teams that are performing better than your own team.
Okay, well, we're nearly out of time, so I'm going to send you to the commentary box, and we're going to get ready for today's Grand Prix.
I just praise the voice acting there. Obviously, they are presenters in their own right, but you presume it sounds like they've not been given a script there, and they've just kind of ad-libbed the majority of that, and it sounds very natural. A lot of the time in games like this, you have cutscenes like that, and the voice acting, the reading of the script is very wooden, whereas both of them there could quite easily, that clip could quite easily have just come from a Sky Sports broadcast. I like that a lot. It wasn't the most in-depth interview, nor was there really that much shared, but in terms of making it feel natural and like you're watching something from a Formula One broadcast, it genuinely was very, very impressive. So bravo for that. It is going to be dry in Hungary, thankfully. So a dry quali, a dry race, and hopefully a significant points, judging by where we supposedly are in the performance index now. So we live in hope for what could be a brilliant Hungarian Grand Prix. Again, not one of my stronger circuits, though, unfortunately, so I might struggle here comparatively to my teammate like we did in Silverstone. Belgium is probably stronger for me. Zandvoort is a track I could be quite quick at. Monza's a weak one for me. Baku, I haven't driven on this circuit, on this game yet, but that circuit can be quite taxing on previous games. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, other than Max Verstappen's probably going to win the race, isn't he? Again, continually, behind Max Verstappen, fantastic championship battles going on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. But not for the title, unfortunately, this year. Rumours they were talking about there of drivers moving teams. There are no mid-season transfers anymore, so we will have to wait until the end of the season to find out who moves where, if there are moves. And at the moment, I'm wondering whether we even bother to move, unless someone that is similarly rated but with more prestige comes in for us. Like, I would move to an Aston Martin or a Mercedes or Ferrari or McLaren right now based on the heritage of that team rather than the performance of the car, if you know what I mean. So that certainly will be something to consider at the end of the season, but we've seen such dramatic progress here that who knows what could happen between now and the end of the season. There might be other teams that make sharp increases as well, and the mix-up gets thrown into the washing machine again, and we all come out in a different order once more. We're, what, halfway? Just over halfway through the season now? That was round 13, I think, of the World Championship. So there's still half the season to go, so Christ knows what's going to happen by the time we get to the end of it. But Haas from the back to the 4th fastest team is quite the turnaround so far. Very much going to enjoy, hopefully, the second half of the season, and very much hoping that you guys will be here with me as well. Do drop the video a like if you've enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more here on the YouTube channel. Of course, by all means, come across and join me on stream. Link in the description down below to the Twitch channel, to the YouTube live channel, and hopefully I shall see you there at some point soon. If not, I shall see you back here at some point soon, certainly. Bye-bye.